Everything that we do here is to make more money. If you charge low prices, your product will be perceived as low value. Increase your prices, and you will not only make more money, but people will actually use your product and value it more. This is pricing psychology that few understand. Here's how Steve Jobs thought about it.
Our goal is to make the best personal computers in the world and to make products we are proud to sell.
What we don't realize mostly is that pricing is the ultimate growth lever. Yet most small businesses fail to pay attention to it, and if they do, they tend to underprice out of fear. The reality, get it wrong, you'll hate your customers. Get it right, and you can help yourself build a profitable, resilient business that customers respect and pay for. So today, I'm gonna go through how do you price your business better. Your action steps are going to be these. Hello and welcome to the Big Deal podcast. I'm Codie Sanchez, and this week we're doing something a little different. If you've ever asked, why do you make these videos? Well, I own a portfolio of businesses, and we invest in small businesses across the country, and we invest in the infrastructure and technology of the companies that build our small businesses. So part of the reason why I am doing these episodes now on Build is so that you may one day partner with us. Maybe you let us invest in your company. Maybe we grow alongside you. Maybe even sell your company to us. So I hope you make more money. I hope you build it in your community. And also, I hope that you build a small business so I don't have to go to any more chains. Without further ado, let's get into it. If you want to make more money, the easiest thing to do is actually sell things for more money. If you charge low prices, your product will be perceived as low value. Increase your prices, and you will not only make more money, but people will actually use your product and value it more. This is pricing psychology that few understand. What we don't realize mostly is that pricing is the ultimate growth lever. Yet most small businesses fail to pay attention to it, and if they do, they tend to underprice out of fear. The reality, your pricing dictates your profits, customer quality, and brand perception. Get it wrong, you'll hate your customers. Get it right, and you can help yourself build a profitable, resilient business that customers respect and pay for. I wish more people paid attention to the powerful levers in a business that pricing is. Set it wrong, you struggle with thin margins, weak growth, and constant pressure to sell even more just to break even. So today, I'm gonna go through how do you price your business better. Your action steps are going to be these. 1, raise your prices. If it's been over a year, you're behind. 2, compare against competitors. If you're the cheapest, you're likely undervaluing yourself. Also remember guys, you can only price yourself the absolute cheapest to the bottom. There is no value in being the second most cheap. So why play that game anyway? 3, you're gonna test and track, increase prices incrementally, and measure customer response. 4, I want you to offer tiers. This is how you capture different customers with different pricing levels. Most people charge one price, you're gonna expand at least 3. 5, this is how you communicate value. You frame price changes around quality, not just cost. And then 6, monitor and adjust. You don't set it and forget it. So here's my guide on how to raise prices so that your customers thank you for it. I built something for you builders. If you are building a business right now, I think this is the playbook for scaling businesses. We call it our contrarian operating system. It's how I manage all of our businesses to both grow really simply, but consistently. And it's free for you. If you want it, just click the link in the show description and try out the operating system. I really think you guys, if you want to have a business, not a job, you have to have a system and a process and not a hope and a prayer. If this is useful for you all as well, you can talk to my team. We have tons of resources for builders. I am here to make sure you succeed. In our portfolio, we've realized if you don't understand pricing, your business will be held back from ever hitting its potential. It is oddly overlooked. So let's jump into some examples. I think the best way to learn is by modeling. Let's look at YouTube. YouTube TV has raised its prices by 137%. 2017, they launched, it was $34.99. And by January 2025, it was $82.99. Remember when YouTube TV was the cheap alternative to cable? I mean, I remember this. 5 years after launch, the price doubled. Fast forward to the hike in January, and we're starting to wonder if it's a ripoff. Think YouTube ever felt anger at increasing their bottom line? Nope, not really. While prices are rising steadily, so are paying customers. They're estimated to surpass every other ad live TV platform by 2026. 8 million paying subscribers at the end of 2024, so like 600 million in revenue. But they're not the only massive companies to successfully raise prices. We've got Netflix. Netflix raised their prices from $8 a month in 2007 to $23 a month today. And then they lost a few customers, So they lost some in the beginning. They lost 1 million customers when they increased their prices the first time, but today they have 300 million paid subs. You know what's wild? Over the last 2 weeks, you are the only reason this podcast has grown. I don't know if you're new here or you've been here for a while and y'all just started sharing more, but you were the only reason that we continue to climb the charts and hopefully provide more and more value for you. We just moved up from top 100 to top 50 in biz on Spotify, which is cool. So thank you for sharing with your friends, and thank you for sharing with your employees, and thank you for sharing in your Slack groups and social media and everywhere else. And if you like this podcast, please do send it to another human that you care about, because you are a big deal to me, and I know they are a big deal to you too. So that's a beautiful thing to do. Thank you for sharing the pod. What's wild is they're obviously more profitable. I mean, if you look at this, you can basically see that we have increased margins and users at Netflix. What I thought was interesting, is here's where we're going to steal their homework, is they do it by offering multiple tiers. So if you want to stay at the lower tier, you can, your wallet doesn't get hit. They use an ungrandfathering strategy, so you don't get to stay in your price point forever. At some point, you just got to keep moving up. And they realize that if they have the best content in the world, people will continue to pay. Now, another one, Starbucks. They had to raise prices due to inflation supposedly in 2023, and they got killed. They got murdered for it on TV. Everybody said it was terrible. But then what happened? Well, they actually increased their revenue that year. So they were estimated to do like 9.28 billion. Their actuals in 2023 were 9.37 billion, and they made more money. Instead of having negative traffic to stores, they were positive. They increased their average order value. And the same thing happened for Amazon Prime. You know, they basically went and tripled their price since they first started in 2025. Now, I think the moral of the story here is if big companies are doing it, it doesn't always mean that your little company can do it, but how can you steal their homework? So how do you raise prices and have customers thank you? First, we're going to go with value bundling. So YouTube is streaming the Super Bowl. Amazon just added new Prime benefits. Starbucks just launched a new favor. How could you quit now when they have something that you want? In our business, that may be something like, let's say, that you run a small window cleaning company, like we do, Pinks. Well, in our window cleaning company, if you want to have the new power washing service added one time a year, you need to be on a recurring payment plan. So we bundle it. That keeps you in a position. At Contrarian Thinking, if you want to come to all of our community events, well, that is only a possibility if you stay with us in one program. So we're going to bundle. Second, market position assessment. This basically is a study where you need to look at your customers and see how indispensable you are to them. Netflix, well, the friction of changing habits outweighs the friction of paying $2 more a month. That's the same with me for my gym. I kind of don't want to go to anyone. The gym's located close to my house. If they raised my price $5 to $10 a month, I probably wouldn't care. This is also why you want to sell more things to rich people, because they actually much more value convenience and continuance as opposed to price and discounts. So you want to ask yourself, for my user base, how much do they absolutely need me? How much do they also not notice what's happening? Landscaping, let's say. If you have to go out and you find a new landscaper, they can't come, you have to schedule somebody, you might actually have more price defensibility than you think. 3, tiered implementation of pricing. So what does this mean? It means that you look at your customer segment, and over the course of the next 3 months or 12 months, I want you to do one thing. Okay, my highest value customers, I'm going to add some value to the offer that I have for them, and then I'm going to increase their prices. Then I'm going to go to my mid-tier. I'm going to do the same thing. Then I'm going to go to my lower tier. I'm going to do the same thing. So every single segment gets increased in price, step 1. Step 2 is going to be the low segment gets an offer to go to your mid segment. Well, you know, you have our basic car wash. The basic car wash doesn't include cleaning up the wheels and spraying the interior. Would you like to upgrade to the premium car wash? Okay, cool. Upgrade to that. So now we've not only increased the price of the low, the mid, and the high, but we're moving customers from low to mid to high. They have a choice in both, and they get value in both. Lastly, we do the math. Everything that we do here is to make more money. So there are really 3 ways to make more money in your business, right? You can do acquisition, you can get new customers, you can do retention, you can keep those same customers, or you can charge more to your current customers. Any of those three gives you more money. Well, what's interesting is Y Combinator did a study, and they said for every 1% increase in each one of these, acquisition, retention, and monetization, what amount of growth do we get from it? Well, it turns out if you get 1% increase in new clients, you get about 3.5% growth. If you get 1% increase in retention, keeping your clients, you get about 6.6% growth. And if you get 1% increase in the monetization, or how much you charge to your clients, you get about 12% growth. So basically 12x. By the way, if you're building a business right now and you're stuck or you want to break out to the next level, maybe you're not where you want to be today. Believe me, I've been there many, many times. I want you to know I got you. We help thousands of business owners a year figure out how to scale to the next level. One of my favorite mentors said, every level you have, there's just a higher level and a higher devil. And so if you've been in business for a while and you're doing 6, 7, or 8 figures, there's probably one thing standing in the way of your next level. That's why we host growth and scale workshops 4 times a year throughout the year in Austin, in Miami, in San Diego, and you may be a fit to come to one of them. If it sounds interesting to you to get help on how to scale your business to the next level, you can reach out to my team at the link in the show notes. We believe in you builders, but we also believe that it's a lonely road and you can't do it by yourself. What I like about this is this tells me that actually raising your prices not only is one of the easier things to do, but gives you the highest return on your money or growth. So we should really obsess on it. So if we know it's going to make us more money, the question is, won't I lose customers if I raise prices? And here's the truth. Price-sensitive customers are often less loyal anyway. They'll jump ship the second a cheaper option comes along. By raising prices, you filter out basically bargain hunters and find your true fans, or what we call your right fit customers. Now, I love this line that Peter Thiel talks about.
The extreme binary view of the world I always articulate is that there are exactly 2 kinds of businesses in this world. There are businesses that are perfectly competitive, and there are businesses that are monopolies.
What if my competitors undercut me? Well, let me say this. Your prices probably shouldn't be your selling point. Instead, you got to focus on differentiating through your value and quality. When you're the best at what you do, price becomes a triviality. Also, your aim in business is to achieve some semblance of control. So the ability to control is to set prices. This happens when you've created unique value. And I know monopoly sounds like a bad word, and it often is kind of. But Peter explains why it's not what you think. What if I can't raise my prices? You can. So how can you tell if you should raise your prices? You may just be too scared to raise your prices. And so these are the telltale signs your business is ready to raise. Number 1, you're selling out or can't keep up with demand. When you're drowning in orders, it's a clear signal the market is willing to pay you more for what you offer. Raise prices to align supply and demand and keep some sanity. Number 2, if you haven't raised your prices in over a year, then you need to. Inflation alone justifies a 2 to 5% annual bump, and your costs have definitely increased. So if you keep prices stagnant, that means you actually lose money. Inflation is the benchmark, but most of my portfolio companies are on a 3-month rotation. So every single 3 months, we look at the right pricing. Number 3, if your competitors charge more than you, have you done an evaluation of your competitor pricing? If you're pricing significantly less than them, it's a negative signal against you, actually. Because remember, price is an indicator of value. So if you let low prices paint the wrong picture, you might be making less money and losing sales. So that's why we get to number 4, which is preserving a premium image. Would you think highly of a Louis Vuitton bag if it cost $30? High-end brands aren't bashful about their prices. They filter out penny pinchers and they actually signal value. Here's how Steve Jobs thought about it, and I think it's pretty perfect.
I can tell you what our goal is. Our goal is to make the best personal computers in the world and to make products we are proud to sell. We just can't ship junk. There are thresholds that we can't cross because of who we are. We want to make the best personal computers in the industry.
Number 5, if you don't have multiple price tiers, you need to. Different customers have different needs and budgets. So basic, pro, premium, this is how you capture a wider range of the market. I like to start with 3. You can always add more. I have not met a business yet that does not need multiple price tiers. Every single business does. In fact, we had one business where it was a landscaping business, and they basically offered an RFP, a custom quote for every single user. And they thought that sounded good because they were really scared about messing up price amounts. But instead, what do? They gave 3 options. Here's the basic, here's the pro, here's the premium, and they made sure that they had enough wiggle room in there that those prices covered just about anything. Number 6, your commercial and retail rates are the same. So B2B clients have deeper pockets than consumers. Don't be afraid to charge them accordingly. Usually there's the rule of 20 to 100. So a 20 to 100% premium for commercial work is standard practice. If I charge a retail customer me $20, I can usually offer that price somewhere from 40 to 120 for a commercial work. 7, if you don't offer subscription options, this is like the holy grail of pricing. Predictable recurring revenue makes you less reliant on one-off sales. I like how YC partner Aaron Epstein explains how SaaS businesses make a killing here and why most other businesses fail. Let's watch part of this really quickly.
We also see that SaaS businesses are most likely to make the top 100 list. This means that customers keep paying them every single month or every single year until the customer explicitly says to stop.
Number 8, you don't incentivize longer commitments. If right now you don't incentivize longer commitments, you should. The longer a client commits, the more valuable they are. So offer discounts for clients who sign 6 to 12 month contracts up front. It's a win-win. They save money, you get guaranteed cash flow. So what I would say is on this one in particular, at all of our scaling workshops, we look at everybody's prices and we make sure that we also try to accelerate cash forward. So price changes don't always have to mean you charge more. It might mean you charge less, but they have to pay more upfront. So we need to get really creative with this. One final note, it is actually very possible to shoot yourself in the foot with raising prices. And here's the wrong way to do it as shown by Netflix. So Netflix absolutely killed their price range recently. The most recent Netflix price range was all over the internet and people hated them, and maybe rightly so. Here's what they did. They had an update that said this. You can see it right here. Hey, Joe, thank you for being a valued member since 2019. We hope you're enjoying everything Netflix has to offer. We're updating your monthly price to $17.99 pre-tax on March 21st, 2025. So instead of doing a magic moment, they said, you've been a valued customer for years for no reason whatsoever. We're going to materially increase your price. It went from being $7.99 to almost $28.28 after taxes. And you can see the internet was like, rah, losing it. What could they have done instead? Let's rewrite their hook. Joe, you enjoyed 57 hours of Netflix last month. That's about 12 cents per hour last year. We hope you continue to enjoy Netflix. We have had a slight increase in price that will only increase your price to about 18 cents an hour, 20 cents an hour, whatever the math is. You guys can help me out. Also, they added 0 ounce of personalization. It falls flat. Remind your customer how they trusted you instead of reminding them how long they've been with you and how you don't care. The other thing that they didn't do is this email that we see here, I'm pulling it up on screen, it basically says, what's coming to Netflix in March of 2025? It feels like they're paying 20% more for a service that makes their life worse anyway. This email should have made them feel like they were personally funding more amazing shows, adding value to the subscription, not taking it away. What they do here is they put a bunch of shows on there that people don't seem to be excited about, that don't have big names and big headlines on it. They don't say what's coming. It kind of just seems like they're signaling. Also, it was too short. If it was me, you want to add some personality to it. I know they want to be short and sweet, but it just came off as curt. They don't provide any context, so customers provided their own like this. A company worth $416 billion that added 41 million new customers in the past year wants more of my hard-earned money. Terribly communicated. And for that reason, they took a big stock price hit, at least for a period of time. So if you're a small business and you don't have too much weight to throw around and you can't just not care like Netflix does, my friend Patrick Campbell has a great thought on this. 1, we take the 8 reasons why to raise your company that we've already talked about. 2, we think about how to show that you care. Hey, we know that tariffs are happening across the country right now. Instead of raising prices to perfectly match that, we only raised it to cover our costs to make sure that we can still keep the lights on. Thank you so much for being with us. We will continue to do everything possible to make this service at a reasonable cost for you. Just tell them the truth out loud instead of saying we want to do it no matter what. Moral of the story, guys, if you don't raise your prices, you won't have any margin. If you don't have any margin, you won't be able to beat your competitors. And the number one rule of business is whoever makes the most money wins, because they can just pay more for your customers. And eventually, because you were being nice, you will be out of business. If you guys liked this episode and you want to hear more, please tell me. The only way this podcast grows is when you guys share. So thank you so much for sharing the Big Deal podcast. You guys are the ones that help this grow. Let us know how you felt about this build episode. And if you tell me in the comments what you want to say to raise your prices, I'll respond back and tell you if that is a terrible idea or not.
Worked for a hedge fund on Wall Street, and he was like 23 years old or something. And I'm like, Rich, how's everything going? He's like, oh, it's great. It's got my holiday bonus. I'm like, oh, what was it? He goes, $3 million. And then I was thinking to myself, I love Rich, but Rich couldn't tell me where the ocean is right now, and we're in it. It made me realize, like, Rich can make $3 million, I can make $3 million. If so-and-so can run a marathon, I can run a marathon. If that guy can run 100 miles, why can't I run 100 miles?
Welcome back to the Big Deal podcast. I'm Codie Sanchez, and this is for those of you who don't want to just be rich but free and are willing to do what it takes to get there. Okay, this week we've got Jesse Eitzler. This man is an absolute legend. He is married to, famously, Sarah Blakely, the founder of Spanx and now Sneaks, her new company. He started Zyco coconut water company, which sold for hundreds of millions of dollars. He started Marquis Jet, which sold for billions of dollars to NetJet. He started more companies than he can remember that are multi-million-dollar companies, and a few others that are 8-figure-a-year companies. The weirdest part, though, is he's so humble, and he lives his life by this code that I find fascinating. The code is essentially this: how can we create a life so good that we look back on it and every single year we think that I lived it with adventure? So I hope you guys enjoy this conversation as much as I do. He's also kind of hysterical and a beautiful storyteller. But before we get into the interview, I want to share a quick business tip that I've been thinking about a lot lately. It's eliminate, automate, delegate. Famously Tim Ferriss, but if you assess the tasks in that order, your business runs 10x more smoothly. I learned it from him and I'm still doing it today. I'm always looking for tools to help eliminate tasks, automate them, and then make the delegating them easier. So one of those tools is Riverside, the sponsor of today's podcast episode. Not only can it record 4K videos and audio remotely to ensure your podcast quality is top-notch, but it also drastically improved my team's editing speed with the text-based editor. So it basically transcribes your footage, removes silences in one click, and creates short clips just by selecting the text. Even better, if you make a flub, which I never do, obviously, then you can delete the sentence in the transcript and it will delete it from your video instantly. Riverside has an in-platform editor where you can upload your own content too, so it's not just footage recorded on Riverside that gets the special treatment. So how do people find new podcasts? Often from seeing clips online. Riverside understands this, and that's why I love their AI magic clips, which analyze moments in your podcast that have the most potential to get traction online. So this saves hours of listening to your podcast for the 50th time to find the perfect clip. Riverside got you covered. So don't waste your time doing what Riverside can do for you. I got you guys a deal. If you want to try it out for yourself, get the Riverside link in the description and use code CODY for an exclusive discount. If I'm not wrong, you have run a marathon in a coconut inflatable sack outfit. You were a rapper, sang jingles, and also seem to have a penchant for like running up to famous people, getting them to do certain things. And I was just wondering, do you not care what other people think?
You would be doing all the same stuff before, if the internet wasn't here. I didn't have a choice. Like when I was, making my way up in the business world, we had to do anything we could to get like attention without clicks. So it was just the marketing and the way we went about everything was totally different. So like, you mentioned running a marathon in a coconut. I was in a coconut package, like a bottle of our package. And I had 6 friends. We were 6-pack. And Gatorade had paid like $1 bazillion to be the title sponsor of the New York Marathon. And our company was doing like $1 million, like $2 million in sales. Like it was nothing in beverage. And we're like, we gotta, we ambushed the New York Marathon basically. We ran but you had to do those things back then to stand out. So yes.
But are you ever freaked out when you do things like that? Or just go, fuck it, I'm here?
Yeah. I mean, I think if you want to be part of being an entrepreneur is you have to get over the fear of being embarrassed. It's like the best gift you can give yourself in anything, entrepreneur or not. Once you get over the fear of being embarrassed, it's so liberating. And the only way to do that is to put yourself in situations that are embarrassing.
What was like the first one that you did? That was like, do you remember like back in the day where you're like, oof?
Yeah.
What was it?
I was 15 years old. So I grew up in New York in the 80s when when breakdancing and hip hop was just coming on the scene. I was in New York. It was the heartbeat of everything. And I know I don't look like it, but I got into breakdancing. And I said to my friend who was like my partner in this, Myron, I'm like, man, let's go to Washington, D.C. There's no way the kids in D.C. are as good as us. Like, we're from New York, you know? So I convinced my sister, who just got her driver's license, to drive us down to Washington, D.C. from New York City. And we had this boom box. And the whole ride down, I was flipping out. I'm like, we're going to get out of our car and set up a boom box in a parking lot somewhere in Georgetown. Like, I was just nervous, you know? And what if we're not good? What if kids are better than us? What if like no one shows up? And all these thoughts that we all have about like centered around self-doubt. So anyway, so we get out there, we put the boom box down. He starts doing his thing, I start doing my thing. A crowd forms around us, and we take off our hat, we're collecting money. It's like working. And at the end of 3 hours, we had like $80, and I paid my sister for the gas, and we split like, you know, I think we split $80, like $40 to Myron, $40 in singles to me. I like stuffed my pocket, and I ran over to him. I counted all the money. Then I counted all the money again, and then I gave him a bear hug, and I'm like, Myron, we're fucking rich. But it was the first time in my life that I was like, if I could get over that fear and get rewarded, then like, whoa, that, you know, like I just got paid, even though I was really scared. And it doesn't sound like a meaningful lesson, but it was for me at 14, because I was like, all right, butterflies are okay.
That's did it ever not work out for you to do something really scary?
A million times. I've been booed off stages. I mean, I had Codie. I had a record out, like, you know, right after college. I signed to a record label called Delicious Vinyl. And there was a magazine called Rap Pages, which was like a big hip hop magazine in the early 90s. I get off a plane and I look to the left of me, and there's a magazine rack in the airport, and I'm like, I'm on the cover of Rap Pages. So I flipped out. I'm like, how can no one tell me that? Like, they didn't even call me and tell me. So I bought like the 13 magazine. I'm going to send it to everyone. I'm on the fucking cover of Rap Pages. And as I'm going to check out, I'm like, you know, I want to read the article. So I go to open it up, and it says, "Are white rappers ruining hip hop?" And I was the cover child of that. So I mean, like, I've had egg on my face, you know, and it was just. So
Did
I've had
you
a
still
lot.
buy them?
What's that?
Did you still buy the magazine?
No, hell no. I was so mad at the writer. I was embarrassed. I thought everyone in the world was looking at me like, that's the kid that's ruining hip hop. That's the kid. But no one cared. I did a show. I had a song that I did for the Denver Broncos when I was writing sports songs, which is something that I did. And they won the Super Bowl, so I performed it at the Super Bowl. There were 675,000 people there, and I forgot the words.
Oh, no.
So, I mean, but that's part of, you know, look, if you want to have an exceptional life, you got to put yourself in exceptional situations. And it doesn't always work out, you know, but you have to put yourself in those situations.
You do that a lot.
A lot. I still do it.
Your life, well, one, it kind of makes sense because you have this big ass calendar that's huge that I used, which is, I think, when I first started going back and forth with you.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so weirdly cool. I put up this big, huge calendar, and I blocked off all of the days on it that I wanted to have my, you call it masogis.
Yeah.
And it totally changed our year. And we actually ended up doing a bunch of stuff. I work too much, so sometimes I just end up being in a spreadsheet all year. And then all of a sudden you're 85, and I'm not 85, I'm 38. I'm like, oh my God, what did I do this year? I just did business.
Right.
And so it seems like that's always been part of your life, inserting that. Is that true? Like, how do you live an exceptional life?
Well, first of all, to your point, most people spend so much time, you know, scheduling their work days. You know, every Monday through Friday is like appointment, schedule, Zoom call, whatever. And very little time scheduling their personal life. Like, when are we taking trips? When's date night? What races am I doing? What concerts am I going to? So their calendar fills up with work stuff. And I think it's really important to prioritize yourself first. And when you have the big ass calendar like that we have, we're all visual. So you can see all 365 days of the year on one calendar. You can see where your time's going, and you can also track towards your goals. So I think a calendar is one of them, if not the most important planning tool people can have in business and their personal life. As far as, what was the question though specifically?
Well, actually, I have a follow-up now. So if you're going to schedule your life, how do you use the big ass calendar? Lots of people have goal setting. You have some weird ways you do it. How do you do it?
Well, the first thing is I put all the things that are important, that I know that are important to me, on my calendar first. So for example, like I take a one-on-one trip with my kids, or that goes on the calendar. Stuff that I'm doing with my wife, with Sarah, like our trips or big events that I know I have, spring break trips, family trips, like that. If that doesn't happen, something else, your calendar is going to fill up. But then I have 3 rules that I do. So one is what you just mentioned, which is we tweak the definition of this, but there's an old Japanese ritual called the misogi. The way we've interpreted it is you do one big year defining thing a year that really defines your year. And it has to be big. So like you want to have something to show for your year at the end of the year. You don't want to be like, if I said to you, like, what'd you do in 2021? Like you should be able to be like, oh, I launched my podcast, or I quit my job, or like something. Like what are we all working for if there's nothing to show for it?
Yeah.
So one big year defining thing. Last year for me, I rode my bike across America, like big. But think of it this way. If you're 35 or 36 and you live to be 86, 50 more years, you'll have 50 year defining things. That's a hell of a life that you've done versus I didn't schedule it. The second thing that I do every year, so that goes on my calendar first when I know what that is.
Yep.
This year, like rim to rim to rim, like your husband did, was something that I put on my calendar in that regard. The second thing is every other month, I try to take a little mini adventure. So, and it could be just instead of doing something that I normally wouldn't have done on a weekend. So instead of watching the Georgia football game, maybe I'll take my kids fishing. Maybe I'll visit my college roommates. Maybe I'll go to a lecture. But I want to have 6. And again, the reason there is you live 50 more years. That's 300 mini adventures you wouldn't have had. 50-year defining things and 300 mini adventures. Like you're starting to shape an insane, like being 85 and be like, look what I did. Versus, man, I worked my ass off, man. So that's the reason. The third thing is I just create. We're all, the number one thing that we can do to have a better life is have winning habits, winning routines, winning mindset. Those 3 things. So I try to have good habits. I try to add every quarter or so a new winning habit, and that could be as simple as I'm never going to be late for a meeting. I'm going to drink more water. I'm going to drink 100 ounces of water a day. I'm going to add a 10-minute a day meditation practice. It's probably a good idea. We're here. So that's how my calendar starts to fill out, and then I work around it.
So basically it's like immediately you throw this huge thing on the wall, you look at it so it becomes visual, and then it's color-coded so you make sure you can see really easily, oh man, I thought I had all these adventures, but they're actually not on there.
Well, yeah, and again, like, I want my calendar to be fun. I want it to be, like light it up. Yeah. It's a work in progress throughout the year. I'm adding to it as things, speeches and travel, I keep adding to it. But making it color-coded, when I look at it, I think in pictures. Most of us do. Yep. So when I see it, I'm like, wow, I have a lot of exciting travel coming up. Versus like, I got to scroll through my phone to do that. It's not the same.
That is true. Yeah, you know what else is interesting with that is then you start to think about it as exciting as opposed to, sometimes I look at my calendar and I get overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my God, I have so much I have to do as opposed to I get to do it. You have a kind of a ridiculous mindset. Like when I see all the things, you just got back from Running Man, which you put on, which is like what, a couple hundred people in sort of a remote location. We wanted to come, but I had something else going on. Plus I suck at running. So small side note. And you have like, is that the same one? You have like 100 saunas and or is that a different
Yeah, we
event?
had 1,000 people there.
Okay.
It's a 3-day like wellness festival in the middle of Georgia.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the Woodstock of wellness. There's speakers and breakout sessions and music and bands and sauna. We built the world's biggest sauna. It's almost 5,000 square feet. We get a couple hundred people in it with a DJ, and we have yoga sessions. So I need things. I work hard, and I have kids, and I have a wife, and like that whole work-life balance thing. I need things that I'm excited for on my calendar. It makes me show up better at work. It makes me show up better as a dad, as a husband. If I know, like, look, I can work my ass off for the next 90 days, but then I'm taking a trip to Florida, or I have a guy's trip that I'm doing. It helps me.
Somebody was telling me the other day, it was about content. And they were like, there's so many young people today that want to be quote unquote famous, that want to create really cool things on the internet, but they haven't actually lived much life. And so when you haven't lived much life, there's not that much to create about.
Right.
And they're like, if you want to create incredible content, live an incredible life. And it doesn't have to be like a fancy one. I mean, half the time you have an event at your house where you just run up and down a hill like 3 bajillion times, and it's called Hell on a Hill, right?
Yeah, I do. To your point, I was just at Running Man. I was talking to my friend's son, and I asked him, he's in his mid-20s now, maybe even a little older. And I said, what are you doing now? And he goes, oh, he like lights up. He's like, oh, I have the dream job. And I'm thinking like, whoa, I'm like, what do you do? He's like, I work the chairlift at the local ski resort in Colorado. And I was like, oh. He's like, no, you don't understand, man. It's unbelievable. He's like, I get to meet everybody there. I get to ski an hour a day. We get together as a group after. So like, to him, he has the dream job. He runs the chairlift at the local ski resort, which is amazing. Like, people think you have to be the CEO of a mega company or climb Mount Everest to have these incredible lives. Like, no. You have to be around people you love, doing things you love to do, and feel accomplished. If you do those 3 things, you really checked all the boxes, and he did. And he's doing that right now. It was really like kind of eye-opening for me. Like when he said it, I was like, you can learn something from everybody, man. Not you don't have to be famous. You don't have to be an influencer. There's lessons everywhere. I'll give you an example. My dad died 2 years ago, and I woke up on the anniversary of his death, and I got a text from a girl, Maureen, who I'm friends with, but not like, we don't go to dinner. We're friends, but we're not like super close. And she just wrote, I know it's the 2-year anniversary of your dad's death. She wrote me this really nice note. I have 10,000 plus people in my contacts. She was the only text that I got. Wow. And so I called her and I asked her about it. I was like, Maureen, how'd you remember that? Like, I was like, oh, I have a list of monumental events, good and bad, of people in my life on by month, and the days of those anniversaries, I just reach out to them. I'm like, that's brilliant, because I'll never forget that. So I call that Mo's rule, and I have rules that I've named after Maureen's not even on Instagram. I have rules that I've named after, people in my life that have like given me these lessons that now I'm doing that, and I have so many of those.
Whoa. Well, the other thing that's interesting about you is you're not like so many people who have a lot of money. There's not a lot of pretense there. You throw a ton of events, and it doesn't seem like the thing that really makes you happy has a lot of zeros associated with it. Maybe flying nicely one way or another?
I mean, flying definitely is amazing, and that's a huge perk. I remember Warren Buffett saying that's like the one thing he'll never get rid of is his private jet. Yeah, I mean, like, I still have very much so like an underdog mentality. I still feel like, I spent so many years sleeping on couches, so many years hustling, so many doors in my face, so much rejection, trying to make payroll, not being able to. I've been like, my whole 20s was like that. I spent 20 years in that environment, and it's never left me. So I still, I've been to restaurants so many times where like just freaking out when I hand them my credit card that it's not going to work, that I'm still traumatized, but I still get that to this day.
Do you really?
All the time. Every time I pull out a credit card, I'm like, oh my God, is this going to work? But now I'm like, if it doesn't work, it's not really a big deal because, but yeah. And so that never left me. And I think Sarah, she was so mission driven always. about making products that women love. I mean,
So you don't end up feeling rich even when you have that amount of dollars.
you know, my life is exactly the same. I still like to run. I like to take saunas. I love to go to I still coach my kids. I don't miss anything. My friends are the same. Like everything is the same. It's just bigger. Like the swimming pool. I have a swimming pool now. I have the house is bigger. But the problems are the same.
Yeah.
The problems are the same.
Don't the problems get bigger in some ways?
It depends on what your relationship with money is. So a lot of people have, when you think of relationships, you think of them in terms of people. What's your relationship with your husband or your parents or whatever? But people don't think of their relationship with time and with money. So you have to have, and that's really important. So Sarah always says, money's fun to make, money's fun to spend, and money's fun to give it away. And the best thing about it is you get to treat the people you love the most to the things that you love to do and do it with them. And that's really been the best gift about it. The other great thing is that it's given us an opportunity to meet so many cool people that we wouldn't have had.
Yeah.
And it makes everything easier. But kids still have glitches, still have social concerns, still have you still have to stay healthy. So yeah.
But you know what's interesting about you is you have a lot of examples of you meeting famous people, celebrities, when you were young and didn't have much of anything.
Right.
So for somebody who's young listening to this and thinking, yeah, it must be nice, they're at this level, he's done all this stuff. What would you tell somebody who's young and wants to work for, learn from a successful person? And maybe when did you do that?
Well, now you can have virtual mentors. You can get mentored by anybody virtually just by watching them. But I was a big observer when I was sleeping on my friend's couch in Burbank, California. I slept on 18 different friends' couches that put me up. I wasn't homeless, but I got out of college. My parents, I was on my own, and my friends were putting me up. I'm trying to figure it out for 2 years. I'm couch to couch to couch. I'm in Burbank. We go to the Beverly Hills Hotel for lunch. And I'm looking around, and there's the head of Warner Brothers, movie division, and the head of the biggest advertising agency, and this actor, and this athlete. And I'm like, you don't have to have a hotel room to go to lunch here? You could just get a salad and an iced tea for $18, and I could sit here for 3 hours, and that became my office. So I would leave the couch, put on a shirt like this, drive to the Beverly Hills Hotel, eat a salad a couple of days a week, almost every day, and I would observe. I would be how do people greet each other? I wasn't taking notes, but I was very observant. And I was also getting my face out there. I was, hey, I saw you here last week, but tell me, I was just starting conversations. And it trained me because my dad owned the plumbing supply house. We didn't talk about money. We didn't talk about business. I had no training. I had to observe people that were, so that put me in the room. I was proximity. I was in the room. And then when we had Marquis Jet, which is my first second successful company, but the biggest, we flew 3,000 of the who's who of pop culture, entertainers, CEOs, whatever. I was 28, 29 years old when we started the company, and I was obsessed, Cody, with their habits. So I would ask them, and I became, I would go to the airport, greet them for a plane. It was my company. So I would ask them questions where do you love to where do you guys vacation? And if I was more comfortable and had a good enough relationship over time, what do you do with your money? What do you do when you get $8 million? No, seriously, what do you do with it? I had no clue. Yeah. So I would ask a lot of questions, and I got obsessed with their habits. What time do you guys, can I ask you a crazy question? What time do you guys get up? What time do you go to bed? What do you guys read newspapers? If you were me, what newspapers would you read? I was just asking questions, and then I would try some of the things they said. Some worked, some didn't. But it's interesting, in your 20s and 30s, for most people, you're going to make 5 to 10 times more money in your 40s and 50s than you will in your 20s and 30s, because you'll have more contacts. You'll be better at whatever it is you do. You'll be much better. You'll know what mistakes to avoid. And I think a lot of people now see people on the internet like getting rich really quick. It takes time. First of all, I don't even know if they're getting rich. Yeah. Like they're showing that they're getting rich, or they're showing a picture in front of a plane, but who the hell knows what's going on? So that's another thing you have to be careful of. And that's, you can't, that's their story. Who knows if it's there's no one fact checking that. But in your 40s, you have all this, it's different. So, and it takes time. Like I was saying, when we had Zico coconut water, which we sold to Coke.
And how big was that company?
What was like maybe close to 100 million when we sold it.
Holy crap. And that's
but
your
we got it up there. We ramped it quick.
Biggest company after Marquis?
Marquis we did like 5 billion in sales.
That's so wild.
Yeah.
But like really small margins? What were margins on private jets, or was that pretty big?
The way that we started the business is, so we had no aviation experience, very little business experience, and not a lot of money. Like I think we raised $4 million from friends and family, which to start a jet company, it doesn't make any sense. The way that we started out, we were NetJets was our parent company, was providing us with the airplanes, and they were carrying the paper. I mean, we didn't have to like buy the planes or lease them. They were holding the paper on that stuff for us. So like when we had an order, we could pay them, and we were commissioning it we were commissioning, charging more for time on their plane.
So you basically arbitraged the rate between what NetJets would charge a customer.
We were drug dealers. We were buying a lot of time on the planes.
Yeah.
We were chopping up into smaller increments and charging more.
Love that.
And we were selling 25-hour increments in jet cards. So we were, we were
and
just
you were
marking
the first people to kind of think about doing it that way, right?
We were, yeah. The way we were doing
Before that, everybody thought, no, we have to have these long leases, or it has to be individual. And you're like, wait a second, why can't we just cut it with some lactose powder or something?
I remember sitting with my partner, and like our average sale was people were spending about $250,000 a year. They didn't have to, but like on average, a year with us on jet time. So we were just like, if we could get to 4,000 customers, we'll be doing $1 billion a year. And like we were just like, all right, how do we just like, it's like sitting there like, how do we get to 4,000 customers? Well, let's hire 100 sales reps that could find 40 people each. That was basically like how we
commission only?
Yeah, commission.
Yeah, you were basically like find a bunch of young hustlers.
But they did it. Those 100 people were able to, we built up this customer list. So, but anyway, that was like, it feels like a lifetime ago.
So I talk a lot about business buying, and I get a lot of questions about it. One of the most common questions is, where do you find a business to buy? The answer is sad, because the worst deals are oversaturated marketplace sites, but the best deals are off-market or curated. Either way, finding a business to buy basically sucks, and I think it should suck less. So that's why we've built something for you guys, BizScout, a business buying marketplace full of only the best deals for both on and off-market. And BizScout is just built different, okay? We've got verified buyers, so the best sellers are actually interested in selling. Scout sites, aka at a glance, what's the quick analysis of this deal? Off-market data, so you can get all the info you need to direct outreach efficiently. Embedded lending, so you can get your financing for the business right where you buy it. BizScout is going to change the face of Main Street buying and selling. Probably not immediately. We have a lot more work to do, but I want you guys to be part of it, to be part of the buyers and builders in this next round. So you guys are one of the first to hear. Go to bizscout.com and check it out. Was 50 Cent your intern?
Yes.
What is that story?
So I was managing Run DMC. In the mid-90s, early 90s. And Jam Master Jay, the DJ for Run DMC,
I remember
who was killed.
Yeah.
He came in to my office and he's like, I'm working with this kid. He's a boxer. He wants to be a rapper. And he wants business experience. He goes, but he's really good at writing songs and stuff. I was writing songs for sports teams, like theme songs. He goes, he'll come in the studio with you and help you out and do some stuff. But in exchange, he wants to like, this is insane now that I'm thinking about it. Like, this is fucking insane. But he wants business experience. So Curtis came in and he worked with me for like a year and a half, and then he became 50 Cent.
That is wild. Did you know that he was like really talented when you met him? Were you immediately like, oh yeah, he's got it?
No.
He was just like a normal intern.
I'm like 23 years old. And this kid's coming in. I have no idea. I don't have a crystal ball. So you have to imagine. There's 1,000 people that are struggling artists or want to be artists, you know, getting into rap. Everyone's trying to get a deal and this and that. And this kid comes in, he's got his boxing stuff. And I'm like thinking like, all right, cool. Like, it wasn't even on my radar, you know? Like, I'm like, just cool, come, yeah, you can. And then like looking back on it, he became like an international megastar. Here's the coolest thing. 8 years later, so he goes, there's no contact after, like, you know, he goes and becomes this huge star. We're going crazy in the office. Like, we're like, holy fuck. That's Kurt, like, we're going nuts. And we're like, in a great way. Like, feel like, you know, like we're all celebrating.
Yeah.
But I have no contact with him. And then we start Marquis Jet. Every day I would get a list of who's flying on our planes. And I would like look like who are the guests, who's on each flight. You know, maybe someone I know, maybe someone interesting. I see that he's a guest on one of our planes. So I call the pilot and I was like, can you leave a note for 50? And said, 50, it's Jesse Itzler from Alphabet City. That was the name of our company that he worked at. You're never going to believe this, but I own the company that you're flying on right now. And then the next day, he wrote into all of his contracts, he would only fly with Marquis Jet. Is that insane?
That's amazing.
Amazing.
It's really fun to hear about celebrities. These days it's pretty easy to shit on them. But so many people I've met, of like all of the people that I would look up to in the world, are incredible humans. And part of me thinks that might be more common than people think.
Yeah, I agree with you. You know, there's you get disappointed by people too in business. Yeah. I've been burned. I've been disappointed. I've been surprised. I've been stabbed. But in general, I agree with you. People in general want to help people and are good.
Yeah. If you go back to thinking about some of those instances, what do you think of, like, what was the biggest failure you've had in business?
I had a company called Sheets. They were these like oral dissolvable, so like a Listerine strip that you put on your tongue, but they were infused with caffeine. So it was like basically like drinking a Red Bull, but you put it on your tongue and it just goes right into your bloodstream and like you get this burst of energy. And at the time that we launched it, 5 Hour Energy was selling 10 million, 2.5 bottles of 5 Hour Energy a week. So the category was huge. And I'm like, we're gonna put them out of business. And I was so sure. We just sold Zico to Coke, Marquis had just gotten sold. Like, it was a lot of momentum for me. And I'm like, so we started this company called Sheets. I partnered with LeBron. I brought in a lot of celebrities, a lot of star power. I took in money from everybody I knew because I'm like, give me 10 grand. And I wanted to be a hero. You're going to get an island back. Like your 10 grand is going to turn into an island. And we're all going to be neighbors because of this strip. And I would back-to-back big wins, and I believed it. I was so sure. And we did a focus group. It didn't go well. And anyway, it didn't work. Because at the end of the day, it was super bitter. And your product has to be good. It doesn't matter who's endorsing it, who's in the commercial, how good the packaging is. People have to buy it. You have to give them a reason to buy it. And then they have to buy it again, and they have to tell friends. And they didn't buy it again, and they told friends, oh, I don't like the taste of it. So it didn't work. And the hardest part of that was I lost, money I lost the most money by far. But, that hurts, still seeing people that gave you money, even though they could afford it, and everyone knows when you make an investment. And then people are like, well, why don't you just pay them back? That becomes weird. It's just
weird.
It was a tough time. I still think about it.
Yeah.
I literally still think about it. And it was, 20 years ago.
Yeah, I think it's really hard for people to understand. If you have good moral character, losing somebody else's money is worse than losing your own. Like it is. I had an investment company for a long time, and we were in the cannabis space. and we invested in all of these startups in cannabis. And from like 2016 to 2016 to 2019, we killed it. We just made so much money. We like 3x'd the fund, gave it all the investors back their money. Then the second fund that we did was right when COVID hit. And we kind of, before COVID, we thought we're going to raise all this stuff and they're going to legalize this shit. Like, it's going to be legal. And it didn't end up getting legalized fast enough. And COVID hit. And I thought we were going under. I thought we were dead. And I remember Chris, you know, my husband who you met at the time, we were just sitting in California and I was like, I don't think there's anything I can do. My grandmother's money is in this. Because same thing. I was like, we are legal weed dealers, money. And I was like, fuck, I'm going to lose everybody's money. And I didn't have enough to repay it. I mean, it was hundreds of millions of dollars. Thank God the government deemed it an essential service. In retrospect, yeah, it kept our companies afloat. In retrospect, I'm not even sure, though, that I'm happy I was in cannabis. Like, I kind of think...
Right. The reason why you can't repay it is, you know, first of all, that sets the precedent that anytime you raise money, what if I want to build a spaceship to the moon and I need to raise $1 bazillion? Well, the expectation is you pay it didn't work. We're going to get our money back anyway.
Yep.
That you're going to pay everything back and every loss back. So that's one of the reasons. And there's a variety of reasons, but it's
also it can create fake guarantees, so it actually owes you up to lawsuits, and
100%.
Then, you know, so there's a lot of reasons why sometimes legally you're not even allowed to in the docs. And then who's to say what the actual cost is of money from an opportunity cost perspective? It's really messy. But I do think, fuck, if you're in the game, you've lost some money at some point, unfortunately.
But if you're taking in money, you have to understand it comes with responsibility. It comes with responsibility to report, you know, to have some kind of, you know, to have to be transparent. And it's just you lose your own money.
Yeah.
It's one thing, but you lose someone else's money, it's tough.
Well, you know what I think's interesting too is, like, I think you're probably one of the best marketers out there pre-internet in such interesting ways. But to your point, you can't really market a non-incredible product. And you had a little formula there I really liked, which maybe was something like, if you want to create a really viral product, or if you want to create a product that continues to sell forever, they have to buy the product, they got to buy it again, and then they have to tell a friend. And a lot of times people leave that last part off. Like, is that your formula for creating winning products? Or how do you think about creating winning products? Because you got a pretty good hit ratio.
Yeah, I mean, I think things getting shared friend to friend is really important still, even with the internet.
Oh, yeah.
Spanx exploded friend to friend, girlfriend to girlfriend. I think that's a really important element. PR is a really good way to get to reach a lot of people and get validated and back. I'm talking about like when we were starting out, when there was no internet. If you could get an article, something placed about your company, that was a great bang for the buck. Now you can do it, you know, by viral posts that are free, but without the internet, that was a good resource.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think people talking about it is really important.
How many $1 million businesses have you started that have hit 7 figures? Do you know?
Like top line?
Yeah.
Oh, a lot.
What do you think's a lot?
I've never thought about. I don't know.
What about 8 figures?
How much is 8 figures?
That would be like 10 million or more.
Handful.
Yeah. And then 2 that were 9-figure
Like north of
companies.
100?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. It's probably pretty rare air, right?
I've also had 20 companies that didn't work. You know,
Interesting.
so it's I had a lot of balls in the air. But I've been doing it for 30 years.
Yeah.
But I'm tired now.
Are
I have
you?
4, yeah.
I don't believe you're tired. You were just at a 3-day Running Man event you put on with the world's biggest sauna.
That's true. I'm tired, but like the energy to start a company,
Brand new.
like the energy, like, you know, what it takes to start a company, like the amount of your soul that you have to pour into it and the amount of caring at this point in my life would take away what I could give to my kids. Like I don't have that much caring in me, you know, like it's capped. And when I was single and young and in my 20s and 30s and even like young kids in my 40s, it was different. But in your 50s, you know, when you're 56, man, you look at time differently because you're like, shit, in 14 years, I'm 70. That's fucking nuts. That's freaking me out. So then I'm like, all right, if I have 14 years to be 70, do I want to start another company for what? To have like a bigger plate of brown rice? Like what? For what? Or do I want to like take those 14 years and load them up with adventures with my friends and the people, like my kids, and have like an epic, you know, decade and a half of, because I was just water skiing with my kids this summer, and like there were no 70-year-olds water skiing on the lake.
That's true.
There were no 70-year-olds at Running Man. There were no 70-year-olds. It's like as you get harder, like as you get older, you know, your window to do things
Closes.
It starts to close.
Although, did you see Larry Ellison lately? 81. Have you seen this guy?
Larry Ellison's on a whole nother level.
He looks incredible.
Yeah, but
he
there's
looks
8
younger
billion
than
people in
us.
the world. There's 8 billion people in the world. There's one Larry Ellison.
We're not going to be him.
We might, but I mean, you know, for the masses, it's hard.
It's a good way to think about it. So what do you think it takes to actually start a really successful business?
One is enthusiasm. I think you have to have a lot of enthusiasm around not just the product that you're selling, but also like the process of being an entrepreneur. You know, like it's that means a sacrifice. When you're friends with the bar for happy hour, you might have to go back to the office to do something like that. You have to be willing to do all that. You have to be customer focused and really think about, and product driven. The product has to be good. I think it has to be fun. You know, you want to make money, you want to have fun, and you want to have fun making money. And you have to be different. You know, Sarah always says entrepreneurs do one of two things. Either they create something brand new, or they make something that exists better.
Yeah.
So what are you doing? Are you making something brand new, or are you taking something that's out there and just making it better? And I think it has to be authentic to you. I think how you stand out, everything is, all categories are so crowded right now. There's so many because it's so, the barrier to entry is so low right now.
Yeah.
So you have to stand out.
I read a fascinating statistic the other day that only 3% of Americans own a business, that of the 3% that own a business, only 10% will ever hit $1 million, that of those that hit 10 million, that's 0.4%. So 0.4% of the 3% ever get to 8 figures. And I thought that was
Hold on, I
fascinating.
gotta put that yeah.
You need your big ass calendar, but whiteboard edition.
I need the big ass calculator for that one.
Yeah, me
so
too.
what's the net? The net is?
The net is that most people underestimate how hard it is. That not, and how do you define hard? Because words mean things, and often we don't define things very well. So it's not just grit; it's actually just mathematically difficult. And so,
but think about this. My math might be wrong on this because I haven't been getting a lot of sleep. I think there's 18 million millionaires.
That sounds right.
In this country.
That sounds right.
So if you take, there's every year 4 million people born. So there's 80 million people under 20 years old. So that means that there's about 1 in 11 people are a millionaire that are like over 20.
Yeah,
I'm close.
That's
the math
not bad.
is something like that.
Okay. Check us on the internet. YouTube will tell us.
Something like that. But here's my point. If like 1 in 11 or something like that, people over 25 or 25 to 7, whatever, are millionaires.
Yeah.
And you lined up, 11 people in the room or 20 people, whatever the exact number is. I want to get the math right on it. That's like, doesn't make it sound like it's so hard.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like
1,000%.
I would think like, oh, 1 in 1,000 people are millionaires. But it sounds like 1 in 18 or so, like 1 in 11 or 1 in 18, something like, it's low.
Yeah.
As adults become millionaires. So it's like, I remember, by the way, I might get canceled. That math might be way off. No, but I remember the bottom line is, what I'm trying to say is, it's not like a needle in a haystack.
No.
It's like to become a millionaire in this country, there's a path. I remember when I was 22 years old, Cody, I was playing basketball with a bunch of guys in New York City, and I met my first millionaire. I met my first millionaire. Now, there were millionaires in my town, probably, but like I didn't know at that. I was a kid, but like the first person that I knew, like my age, like someone was a millionaire, and I couldn't believe it because I was making like 12 grand, like
Totally.
I'm like, I couldn't believe it. And then like 3 months later, I went away for Thanksgiving with 4 guys. We went to Jamaica, and I was talking to my friend Rich, who worked for a hedge fund on Wall Street, and he was like 23 years old or something. And I'm like, Rich, how's everything going? He's like, oh, it's great. It's got my holiday bonus. I'm like, oh, what was it? He goes, $3 million. I was like, you made $3 million? And then I was thinking to myself, I love Rich, but Rich couldn't tell me where the ocean is right now, and we're in it. Like, he made $3 million.
Yeah.
I'm going to make $3 million. Like, it made me realize, like, if fucking Rich can make $3 million, I can make $3 million. If so-and-so can run a marathon, I can run a marathon. If that guy can run 100 miles, why can't I run 100 miles? Like, once you see it, we put so many limitations on ourselves.
I think you're right. Well, and on top of that, I mean, I bet most of those millionaires made their millions working with or for somebody else. I think also I'm a big proponent for you should always try to get some equity, try to get ownership in things. I love people buying small businesses. That's sort of my shtick because that's how I've made my money. So you always have like a bias. I'm like, I did it that way. Anybody could do it that way. But another thing that I try to give a lot of credence to is like, I bet you have minted so many millionaires. Not you, they did it for themselves too, but through creating these big, huge companies.
I have, but more importantly, I've had an army of people that worked for me as interns and as employees that have gone on to do insane things.
That's interesting.
You want the list?
Yeah.
So Kenny Austin, who worked with me, was one of my partners, but like at Marquis Jet, went on to create Tequila Avion. That sold. He created Proper 12 with Conor McGregor. That sold for over, for hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars.
That was like $600
He
million.
created and partnered with The Rock on The Rock's tequila. It's worth north of $1 billion. I mean, just Jennifer Lopez, it's hit after hit. Adam Tishman, who was my intern, created Helix, this mattresses.
Oh, yeah.
Sold for hundreds of millions of dollars. Farrah Leth, who was my intern, she now runs Clutch, one of the biggest sports agencies, if not the biggest in the world. LeBron, and probably one of the most powerful women in sports. So, 50.
Why do you think that is? Why?
Because people are observant. Coaches are important. I still have coaches. I have a swim coach.
You had a
I
Navy SEAL
a memory
live with
coach.
you.
Because I wanted to get better at memorizing names. I wasn't great when I met people at remembering their names. So I brought a coach in to help me with that. I've had sales coaches. I've had coaches in so many areas of my life because I'm not great at everything. I want to go to people that are amazing at what they do. I live with Goggins. I lived on a monastery to get better at my spirituality. Like, investing in yourself to get better is so important. And so I think that, for if you're working at an organization, 2 things. One, I think you should make yourself irreplaceable. That's really important. Then you have the leverage. Like, you can't even fire me. I know everybody, every customer. I'm unfireable. Now you have some leverage, which I think is really important. And you should learn, network, and sponge as much, absorb, especially when you're young, as much as you can. Do everything. Learn everything. Gandhi said it best. He said, learn like you'll live forever, live like you'll die tomorrow. Oof. So you want to learn and keep getting better, in as many things as you can. Do you have a particular way that you lead people? What do you think it is? Is it either you select these people who are going to be high performers, and so you have a selection bias? Or do you have a particular leadership style that you think enables other people to become something bigger? I think that you have to put confidence in people. There are so many better. I honestly, Cody, I'm like back of the pack entrepreneur. I really am. There's so many amazing entrepreneurs. Like, I don't even put myself, that's not my strong suit. It's not.
Interesting.
It's not. I've had wins. I've had great partners. I've had good ideas, right time, right place. Like a lot of things happened. But there's so many. I still go to so many entrepreneurs for advice. But I am good at giving people confidence and belief. And that's really important because if you have to believe in the end of your story. Like if you're single, you have to believe he or she's out there. If you're going for a job interview, you have to believe like, I'm the one that's going to get this job. If you're applying to a college, you have to believe like, oh, the acceptance rate is 1 in 80. I'm that one. I'm that one. You have to have like insane conviction. And I'm really good at breathing conviction into people.
Oh, that's so good. Do you breathe it into yourself? And if so, how?
Self-talk.
Are you like in the mirror going, Jesse?
No, but just like, you got this. And like, you know, I have really good self-talk. There's not a lot of I can't that comes out of my kids' mouths or my mouths. Or Sarah and I are really particular about how our family speaks.
What would that look like? Like, so if you're trying to raise children who believe in themselves like that, what does that look like? What are examples?
Well, first of all, we praise the effort, not the result. You want to praise the effort to get your kids to you know, want to put max effort in. Let them experience disappointment, and then, you know, correct them. Oh, Dad, I can't jump off this diving board. Like, well, if you say you can't, you're never going to do it. So you have to reframe it, you know, tweak it. But it's true of everything. You know, that the words that you speak are really important.
Yeah, my husband always says words mean things, and he means that when we talk about stuff between each other. Like, it's really important that we both think about what we say and then we understand what the word means to each other, because oftentimes you don't even realize that.
It's true. I was doing like a math problem with my daughter. We were going through her math homework, and like she got the first 5, and then we got the math to question 6, and she's like, "Oh, Dad, this is hard. We'll skip that one. Let's go to the next one." And like I think most of my childhood, maybe, you know, my parents wanted to make things as good as they. Yeah, let's skip it. We don't skip things. Like, you get a chance to like skip. Oh, you know, coming up with the packaging for this widget company is really hard. Let's skip the packaging. Like, no, my daughter's name is Tepper. Tep, let's sit here and figure this out before we go to question 8. Let's stay on 7. I know it's hard, but it's on the paper. It was assigned to us. It's in front of us, so we're gonna have to figure this out. We're not skipping it and going to 8. I didn't say it in that tone, but those kind of lessons were like, you know, I think are important.
Do you talk like that between Sarah and yourself? Like, when it comes to partnership, do you help your partner speak that way to each other? And if so, how do you do that in a relationship? Or do you both come fully baked?
Every partner is so different. So, you know, I'm a support system for my wife, and she's a support system for me. But my needs are more ego-based, you know? Like, I need to be told, like, you did a great job, Jesse. Like, you cleaned the dishes, and like, oh, I didn't just clean the dishes. The dishes are fucking spotless. Like, I need to be, can you say that, Jesse, the dishes are spotless? You're the best dishwasher in the family. I need that.
Yours is words of affirmation.
Right. So I need affirmation, and
okay.
She's completely different.
What does she need?
She needs more. She needs to be heard. She needs to be heard.
Yeah.
So I need to be a bit more of a listener, and then.
Periods.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Shut up.
Interesting.
We were married for 18 years, so now I know.
Now you've got it down. Mm-hmm. Interesting. So what was it like in the beginning? Like, I know every relationship.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
We were in the steam. I went in the steam room with my friends, and then Sarah went in there, and she couldn't figure out how to shut the steam off. Uh-huh. So she left the door open, and all the steam flew. It was all over the house. Like, it was like our steam room was like it's like massively powerful. It's like whoosh, it's blowing steam. I'm like upstairs. I was like, the fuck is steaming in here? So I go down through the steam, and Sarah's in there like la-di-da. I'm like, sweetie, shut the door. And she's like, I can't. She's like, I don't know how to shut the fucking steam. Like, she was pissed. She's like, and I'm trying to shut it off, and I can't shut it off, and its steam is going everywhere, and we're like arguing over it. And then, like, I was pissed at her and how she handled it. And she was yelling at me, and I'm yelling at her. And then, like, we went on our merry way, and then I called her, and I'm like, I'm not mad at you. I'm not even mad at you. Are you mad at me? She's like, I was mad at you, but I'm not mad at you now. So, like, you know, you have to, in relationships, it's okay to get mad, but we're married. So I'm not going to stay mad at her that she left the door open and the whole house has mold in it now.
I'm not upset at all.
I'm not mad at her. I'm not even thinking about it a day later.
Quick FYI, we've got just a few months before my first ever book is out in the world. If you want to pre-order it for yourself or anyone you love, you can do that in the link in the show notes, or you can search it online. It's called Main Street Millionaire. You'll love it. I think it'll make you a lot of money, and I hope you guys pre-order it.
Chris and I have been married for 4 years, together for 7, but we've known each other since we were 12. And I was married before, so I fucked it up once. And it's like very big on my list of do not fuck this up again. And I think one of the things that I love talking to people about who've been married for a while and have kids is like the real of it. Because, you know, we have a therapist. That was one of my things, like with my first marriage. I tried to make that happen and he wasn't
I like
really
the word
into
coach. You have a coach.
Yeah, exactly. We have a coach. Although our coach is doing this thing lately that I hate. I don't know if yours have ever done this. She's like, and I want you to stop and I want you to think about where do you feel it in your body?
That's a therapist.
Oh, God. I about died last week. I'm like, and especially Chris, former Navy SEAL, you can only imagine what his face looks like. And then she says, I'm sorry, I won't say her name because she's great in many ways. But then she says, I know you feel hot in your body. You feel heat. I want you to ask the heat what it wants to tell you. I was like, I have to leave. I have to leave this Zoom call. And that was not very helpful for me.
I'd have a hard time in that room.
No.
I'd have a hard time.
So what kind of coach do you guys, have you ever used in your marriage? Have you ever?
We have on very rare occasions
Interesting.
on more specific topics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, hey, we're not communicating well here, so we want to communicate better?
Yeah, like, or we disagree on this.
Yeah.
On, you know, on this particular thing, let's go to a specialist. So for us, just to be candid, it was like food. You know, like I was a vegan, vegetarian. I eat super clean. Sarah eats a whole different lifestyle. The way she eats, which just doesn't bother me at all. It doesn't bother me one bit. But now we have 4 kids. So how do we want to feed and raise our kids when it comes to food?
Yeah.
And early on in the relationship, I was all the way over here and she was all the way over here, and that created a lot of you know, an uncomfortable environment, because guess what? You have to eat. We're eating 3 times a day. So we're having 1,000 meals, and, you know, they're eating one way, or I want them to eat one way and Sarah wants them to eat another. So we had to right size that. But you have to get in front of the problems. It's like crisis management 101 is you get in front of the problems. You know, you can't let a small problem become a bigger problem. It doesn't magically disappear. Mm-hmm. So
what does that look like to get in front of a problem?
You have to confront it and be like and be solution driven rather than just ignore it. You know, humans, I'm non-confrontational. So for most things I'm like, it's not a big deal. I don't know, but it doesn't go away. Right. Unless you address it.
Yeah, that's a good point. And you guys met later on in life, right?
Yeah. We got married, I was 40. Sarah was 37.
And so what I find interesting, obviously young people today are getting married later than ever, to a lesser degree than ever before. And I found when Chris and I came together that sometimes when 2 humans are so fully baked, there's hard parts about that. Because I'm like, no, I'm like a full adult human. I have operated like this for 31 years.
Right.
I'm pretty good.
Right.
Were there ways that you came together to compromise that you think were helpful and necessary? Because you, I imagine, are a strong personality. She, imagine, is a strong personality. And you're going to have to figure out how to compromise somehow.
Yeah. The one thing is we were very aligned. We're very different.
Yeah.
Very different in certain regards. But the one thing that we are very aligned on is values. And I think that's like super important. Before you get married, you don't talk about like food do you want your kids to be raised religious? Do you want your kids to go away to summer camp when they get older, if you can afford that? Do you want to, there's a lot of things that we didn't discuss, like, ever. And then, like, you have children, and you're like, wow, we never even went over, like, how do you want to discipline the kids? Do you want to spank the kids? Not spank the kids. Do you want to yell at them? Not. What's our discipline protocol?
Yeah.
Like, we didn't go over any of that stuff. So you don't have a choice. You have to get aligned on that stuff.
What do you think is important for, like, a couple coming
Values
together?
is really important. Like,
And how do you define values? Is it your political party? Is it your religion?
no, just like how you treat people and what matters, what doesn't matter. Values more like the hierarchy of what's important and what's not important. Values in family and traditions, in taking care of your parents, like just core values is really important.
Yeah, I read a study the other day that increasingly young people, specifically women, which is interesting, but young people today don't want to marry or date somebody of the opposite political party, which I think is such a mistake, because my parents were both, one of each. And I do think in many ways we're forgetting this opposite attracts thing. I was hanging out with a guy who I really admire a lot and have become buddies with, Sean Rad, who started Tinder. And it was interesting. He was saying that one of the byproducts of Tinder is that increasingly in Tinder you can determine exactly what you want in a human.
Right.
And so because of that, you won't ever even get served what you might need. You only get served what you think you want. And a lot of us don't even know what we want.
Right.
And I thought that was really interesting, because I find if you and Sarah are really different, Chris and I are really different, I'm not sure we ever would have gotten matched on an app, because
Aren't there a lot
we
of
weren't
studies about, like, marriages that last longest are, I remember reading this, I could be wrong, but I remember reading that opposite more than, similar.
That's what they
last
say.
long.
Yeah, it's more of two parts fitting together.
Yeah.
And you guys have some really cool stuff you seem to do as a family that I've just seen on social. Like, I remember seeing a sign that you have for all the things you want on your birthday and all the things Sarah wants on her birthday. What's the deal with that?
Father's Day and Mother's Day.
Oh, that's what it is.
Father's Day and Mother's Day.
Yeah.
She gets to make a list of how she wants her special day to be. And it was like, she wants to talk for an hour. It was all the Sarah things. And then mine was like all the Jesse things on Father's Day. Like, I want to eat fruit. I want to run. I want to take a sauna. I made a whole list. So our lists were so different. They were so different.
But do you find some joy in coming together on the day and you're
Love
like,
it.
I want to listen.
Of
Ready,
course.
go.
Of course. And, like, listen, the other thing about marriage is I found that you have to let your partner be who they are, and like, if Sarah loves to eat French fries and do that, do it. Like, if I took that away from her, she would resent me. So she lets me do the things I love to do, and I let her do the things she loves to do, and we come together on the values and the stuff that that we do together.
Yeah. That was one of the best things Chris
Sarah's super fun, by the way.
I bet
like,
she
I'm
is.
married
She
to
looks
someone
fun.
Like, it's not hard. I mean, it's she's so fun. She's funny. She's a great mom. She's a great business person. She gives great advice. She cares. I've lost my dad, my sister, and my mom in the last 2 years. So having someone there, is really important. And she was super supportive. And those are the things that, to me, are really important for what I need in a marriage. And I like to have fun. Like, you want your house to be a place of fun. And
I get that
so
vibe
we checked
from you.
that. Yeah, we checked that box.
Yeah, but I do like this idea of Chris always, like, when we first started out, when you start dating somebody and, they want you to hang out with all their friends and their family and go do all these activities. In the beginning, I thought, yeah, like, that's what you're supposed to do. You have to come do all this stuff that my family wants to do, that I want to do, because we're now in a relationship. And Chris actually taught me a lot about, do you? Like, what is need? Like, what is that word? Mm-hmm. And at first it bothered me. I was like, oh, I want them all to like you and I want them to do whatever. And he's like, do I? I don't care. So like, do you care? Because then maybe we could do something.
You know, I think every marriage, listen, I'm not a marriage expert at all. I've only been married once.
Next book.
I don't even know if I'm good at it. I really don't even know if I'm good at it. You have to interview Sarah. I don't even know. I'm doing the best that I can do, but I don't even know how good I am. I'm probably like just 8. But every marriage is different. You know, couples have different needs, circumstances are different. I don't think it's like a one size fits all at all. You do what works for you, you know, and for your family and for your family unit. And that's based on years of family traditions. It's based on the personalities that are married. And don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Like, what works for you guys? Do you like watching Netflix every night? And that's fine. You have to do what works for the unit.
Yeah, I agree. I think sometimes, though, it's hard when you haven't had a role model. Like your kids, I think, will probably be quite lucky to see the two of you and how you are in a marriage together and get to take what they like and what they don't. And I think Chris's dad always said it best, or Chris always says it best to his mom and dad. He says, thanks for fucking me up enough to be a Navy SEAL, but not to be a stripper. And
that's good.
I kind of like that because we're all going to do that to our kids and they're going to resent something, I'm sure. But I do think it's nice that you guys share some of this stuff because when I was a kid, like this is the class I wish we would have had. It's my most precious thing is being married to Chris. Like I feel very lucky about that. But I didn't really know what I was doing for a long time. And I think I was a nightmare sometimes. So I think it's cool that you share a bunch of this stuff on the internet. And you do it very much. You don't have a lot of, I do this, so you should do that in your vocabulary that I've ever noticed.
No. I mean, because I don't think I'm in a position to tell people that. I can tell people what works for me and show them what I do, and they can choose to do that or not. But you got to be careful, man. Like when you give advice to people, you know, like you got it comes with like I said, it comes with a lot of responsibility. We're both in a space where in personal development or whatever you want to call it, and you got to be careful.
Yeah.
People like listening and like, you got to give them. So I try to just be like, this is what I did and this is what I'm doing, and show, don't tell. It's like with my kids, I'm not telling them, I'm their dad, I'm not their coach. So I have to show them. You know, if I go outside and it's pouring rain out at 7 a.m. and my kids say, and I come in, I'm like, oh, I don't care about the rain. I run every day. It doesn't matter. I don't even look at the weather. I'm going no matter what. So why would I look at the weather? Then they're now have that same thing, like, you know, like, oh, it's freezing. My kids don't care. Mm-hmm. It has no impact on them because they see it from me all the time. Cold plunging, sauna, running, like they see it.
So one of my friends said entrepreneurship is a trauma response.
Yeah.
Do you think that's true?
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it for you?
I just started so early. Like, I didn't have a choice. You know, like, I didn't want to work for anybody. I just always wanted to, like, I had 3 goals. I wanted to be able to, I said to myself, if I could work like 50 weeks a year on my own stuff, but make enough money that I could take a 2-week trip, it's worth it. I'm like, if I could take a 2-week trip, are you kidding? So that was like one of the goals that I had. The second goal is I wanted to make enough money that I could have a swimming pool. I'm like, if I could have I don't have to go to a public swimming pool. I could go in my own pool, would be the coolest thing. And then I want to be able to grow my own fruit. Those were my business goals. And then when I had those, I crossed them off and I made new goals. And I've always been doing that. I've always been like kind of, after I hit the goals, making new goals. And the bar kept going higher and higher.
That's so interesting because I think a lot of times when people set goals, they set a really big first one.
Which is fine. Mine weren't less about goals and more about like a wish list. Like, I think it's important that people have like if I gave you $10 million tomorrow, or anyone listening, are you crystal clear on what you would do with that money? Like, what would you do? You should, like, what are you working for? Like, you should have like an idea of like, well, what do you want? I had a friend of mine that was like going through a tough time, and I said to him, I was like, Brian, man, if I wired you $10 million, what would you do? He's like, oh, I would move to California tomorrow. And I'm like, that's great. Why? He's like, oh, I always want to live in California. And he's like in his mid-50s. I'm like, Brian, no one's wiring you $10 million. If you want to go to California, figure out a way to go move to California. I think like a lot of people, like a lot of the things that we want to do, we could probably do now.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. I want to close out with a few little rapid fire questions, which are, what do you think the secret is to staying in love while running multiple businesses? These are questions people asked from the group.
Really?
Yeah. What do you think the secret is to staying in love?
I assure you that did not come from a man.
It's probably a woman.
So read it to me again.
What is the secret to staying in love while running businesses?
Just like my wife has a hashtag, just love him, just love her. You have to just let your partner be who they are and, you know, do what they like to do. You can't, otherwise it creates resentment. But communication is really important. You know, not like just transactional communication, like, hey, Chris, did you take out the garbage? But more like, Chris, how you feeling today, man? Like, what's going on? You know, I think is really important.
What have you spent the most money on ever that made you the happiest?
These are great questions. I just bought a farm, but up until that point, and that made me really happy because that, as the goals got bigger, the wish list, that was on my wish list. And I bought an RV. Those two things made me insanely happy because they're like great memory makers for my family. But up until then, I really didn't spend money on anything. I don't have a lot of wants. I like bikes, so I like collect bikes. I love buying bicycles and saunas. I have a great bike and sauna collection. I don't have any fancy art, no fancy watches.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't really have a lot of. I'm pretty simple.
Are you going to put like some goats and horses and stuff?
Yeah, we got goats, chickens. Yeah, I love goats.
Interesting. You're going to get the funny chickens with like the hair and the hairy feet?
I'm getting
seen those?
all of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, a good friend of mine, Tim Kennedy, is like the hardest man ever. Do you know Tim?
I think I do.
Yeah, he's incredible. He's a current, God, I always mess this up, either an Army Ranger or a Green Beret, but he wrote the book, Scars and Stripes.
Okay.
Anyway, he's based here. He's an incredible human. But he's like obsessed with chickens. He's like the most murdery man that is obsessed with protecting his little flock.
Stop it.
Yeah, it's the cutest thing ever.
I love that.
Yeah, so he sends me chicken videos all the time. Incredible thing. Okay, oh, this one was interesting. How do you give a speech to get a standing ovation based on our conversation before?
I think it's really important. The way I approach it is I want to make people laugh. I want to leave people inspired and give them actionable takeaways to make something better. And I want to make them cry. When I say that, I mean like I want to make them emotional is a better way to say it than make them cry. I'm not trying to make people cry. It's not. That came out the wrong way. Emotional. Like there has to be an emotional. A good speech is a big emotional closing, and gives people actionable takeaways and entertains them. Those are the three things that I think are the most important things. Yeah. You want to entertain, inspire, give them takeaways, and have a big emotional close.
Do you have a good joke in it?
Humor is really important too, but I tell a lot of stories, and just funny. Yeah, stories are usually funny.
Yeah, and you have a DJ that's with you on stage.
When I write a speech, I want to make sure that there's enough humor throughout it because humor and stories are going to keep the audience engaged.
Yeah, I also read a study they make you remember things better, like 30% better 100%. Recollection.
But Cody, the most important thing is to tell stories in a speech that only you can tell. Yeah. So if I say, hey, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. 1 million people can say that. But if I say, I rode my bike across the United States of America, and let me tell you what I learned about being uncomfortable from it. It's unique to me. It's a story that only I can tell. And that is really important in giving talks.
Yeah, you seem like a story collector.
Yeah, I am.
And your life is kind of a version of that. This one was interesting. Have you ever done Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu?
I love to. I haven't. I took Krav Maga, but I never did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
So Krav Maga is like the Israeli martial art? It's like
because you can learn. What's good about Krav Maga is you can learn the basics and the foundations in like 30 hours.
Whoa.
As opposed to But yeah, I would love to do that. I haven't done it yet.
We have a big audience of people that are obsessed with BJJ,
Yeah.
and they ask this question a lot, which I think is funny. And then I think the last one is, you know, if you were chatting with somebody who is young Jesse today, world's a lot different, but what would you leave them with?
God, Cody, Jesus, these are like, these are really good questions. And the way you said it, you said, what would you leave them with? Like you said it like
Don't fuck it up, is what I'm saying
exactly.
here. You know, you get one shot.
I just think, you know, this is an obvious answer, but we have one life. For me, I don't want to be 85, 90 years old and look back on my journey and be like, I was the 80% version of myself. You know, like I don't want to be, no one wants to be the 80% version of themselves. Mm-hmm. So I think it's really important to live a life that prevents that, you know, that you're excited about, you're writing, you know, you're the author of your story, and that you're writing a really good story that you're proud of. I'll leave you with this story. So my parents passed away. When your parents pass away, my parents lived in a house. My brother and my sister and I decided to sell my parents' house. Like we weren't going to keep it. So what happens is someone comes in, like we sell the house, but now we have to get rid of all the 90 years of possessions that are in the house, the silverware, the mirror that's on the wall. You know, everything has to go so that the new owner comes into a house with nothing in it. So the estate people come and they start, you know, pricing out the couch. We'll give you this for the couch. We'll put this in an auction. We'll give this. We'll donate this. They go through everything. And then the guy comes and he goes through the pictures and we'll give you $500 for this. This goes here. We'll sell this. And then the book guy comes. And we have like, my mom had like 1,000, like so many books. And he's going through the book one by one, writing how much they're worth and this, what they're going to do with the books. And then a couple of hours in, he hands my brother a book. And he says, you need to see this. So my brother opens it up. It's not a book. It's a hollow carved out book with a safe in it, like out of a Mission Impossible James Bond movie. So he opens it up. It's hollow. There's some old credit cards from 20 or 30 years ago that expired. And there's a note. And the note says, if anything happens to me, here's a combination to the safe. Here's an address. You're the only one that has this combination. So my brother calls me up. He's like, we have a situation. Like, he's like, maybe mom left us Apple stock. I don't know what, like at $2. Like, and then I said, what's the address on the note? So he gives me the address. I'm like, that's my house in Connecticut. I wrote that note to mom 25 years ago when I bought this house and I had some valuable stuff in the safe in case something happened to me. So that week happened to be Labor Day weekend. So I was at the house in Connecticut. So I went down to the safe. I opened it up. And in the safe, this is a true story. In the safe was a book. And the book was an autobiography that my grandfather wrote in 1974. And so I read the book, 54 pages. And we could do a whole other podcast episode on it. But he really left all these lessons through his autobiography for his kids, his grandkids, and generations. And my parents are gone, my grandfather's gone, but the stories live on forever. And the stories that we create. You just went through a whole hour. I don't even know how long we've been. Could have been here 15 minutes or 2 hours. I have no idea.
3 years.
But all the stories that we went through. Oh, the Marquis Jet running in the costume and the Zico costume, and the thing with Sarah. All these little. They're just stories that we've collected. They're nothing more than. It's all going to go away. Everything's going away. But your legacy is the stories that you create, that you pass down to your friends, family, kids, or the book that you leave in the safe. And that is what I would say. Like at the end of the day, what is that book going to look like for you in the safe? Like what are the stories that are going to be in there? And how do you write the best ones? And it's not going to be the Zoom calls. It's not going to be that. It's going to be what's on your calendar in yellow that you're excited about, that you look back and be like, yeah, Chris did rim to rim to rim. If you ask him, Chris, name 10 things you did in 2024, he probably couldn't. Like, what'd you do in January. I have no fucking idea. But he'll never forget rim to rim to rim.
You're so right. So are you going to write a book like that for your kids?
For sure. But I'm also, I am a story, like I am so deeply invested in spending my money on experiences. Like I am so deeply invested. I'm going on a sauna tour of Finland with 10 friends in February. I rode my bike across America with 10 friends last year. I'm going on trips with my family. I got scuba certified with my son. I've been to Africa and Fiji all with my family over the last 6 months, and New Zealand. Because that's what I want. Yeah, that's everything. Now, easy for me to say, right? I have the ability to do it and I can afford to do it. But even when I was 21 sleeping on couches, I was going to Coney Island's Polar Plunge, which was free. I was going to free stuff in New York City. I was going to the rallies. I was going to this. I was out there. I wasn't sitting on the couch watching the Kardashians.
No,
I was out
14
doing it, man.
DC,
yeah,
breakdancing.
Yeah,
which actually made
nothing wrong with the Kardashians, but I wasn't doing that.
No, I think you're right. I remember I threw my first protest when I was 15, and
I want to throw. What'd you protest?
Yeah, you haven't thrown a protest yet? Get
No.
it together. On the bucket list, 2025.
Will you come?
I'm in. I will hold the sign. I'll make the signs. I protested. I was on student government, and the dean of the school, or the principal, that's what you called it back then. The principal wanted to get rid of half of our, what's that called where you go in between classes, like the time, not recess, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And I said, that's ridiculous. We need that time. We sit in these chairs all day. I need to be connecting with people. We have things to do. And so we threw a protest and invited the news sources. But it's funny to look back in retrospect on these little signs. Yeah. But you know what? Cost me nothing. I'll remember it forever. And I think that's a beautiful thing for people to realize today. It's not just about the bank account that you have at some point. It's this story bank that you have.
Right. It's true.
Jesse, you're the man. Thank you for
Cody,
being here.
thanks for having me, man.
It's so good. That story. Obviously more inspiration than, I don't know, I got in a 4-year college degree. So if you also are getting inspired to do better, be better, hit that subscribe button, share this video, share the audio. Let's get more people into this wild world where we actually believe you can do things as opposed to have to be told what to do every second of every day. I hope you guys liked this podcast. Let me know in the comments. On YouTube, we read every single one. I read every review you guys leave. So please comment or leave a review so I can hear what you liked about this podcast or not, and we keep making it better for you.